All right, let's jump right in. We're about to unpack the incredible wisdom of one of history's greatest warriors, Miyamoto Musashi, and his legendary guide, the Book of Five Rings. And trust me, this is way more than just a book about sword fighting. It's a timeless blueprint for mastering pretty much anything. So, Musashi hits us with this powerful idea right from the start. It's really the core of his whole philosophy. What he's saying is, if you can truly, deeply understand the core principles of one thing, master it completely, you actually unlock the framework to understand almost everything else. It's all about depth. And that's the big question, right? You're probably wondering, how in the world does a book written by a swordsman from the 1600s have anything to say to business leaders, athletes, and creators today? Well, that's exactly what we're about to find out. See, to really get the book, you first have to get the man who wrote it. And Miyamoto Musashi, well, he wasn't just some warrior. He was the real deal. A true legend who lived a life of constant, and I mean brutal, self-improvement. His early career is just wild. Get this, at only 13 years old, he wins his first duel against a seasoned samurai using a wooden stick. By the time he's in his 20s, he's taking down entire famous sword fighting schools. And then there's his most legendary duel against Sasaki Kojiro, where he supposedly showed up late and carved his sword from a spare boat oar. This wasn't just luck, this was strategy in motion. And this number, it really says it all. Over 60 duels, many of them to the death, and he never lost. Not once. So when this guy decided to write a book about strategy, you better believe he was writing from a place of hard-won, deadly experience. He knew what he was talking about. But here's where his story takes a fascinating twist. Right at the absolute peak of his fame and skill, Musashi does something totally unexpected. He basically stops dueling. Not because he was beaten, but because he was searching for something more. Can you imagine that kind of self-awareness? He looked back at his perfect record, all 60 wins, and thought to himself, you know what, maybe I was just lucky. Maybe that was just raw talent. This doubt sparked a 30-year quest, not just to keep winning, but to understand the deep principles of why he won. He wanted to find the true way of strategy. And the result of that decades-long search is his masterpiece, the Book of Five Rings. He broke his entire philosophy down into 5 parts, which he called rings, each named after an element. They represent a different level of understanding, building on each other from the ground up. So here's the system. You start with the Earth Book, which is all about the basics. Then comes the Water Book, for being adaptable. The Fire Book is about the heat of the moment. The Wind Book is about knowing your competition. And finally, the Book of the Void. That's that highest level of mastery where all becomes effortless. It's a complete roadmap. The Earth Book is step 1. Musashi says it's like being a carpenter. You never try to build a house on a shaky foundation, right? So, first things first, master the absolute basics of your craft. Know your tools, drill the fundamentals, and practice them over and over until they're just second nature. Next up is the Water Book. And this is such a brilliant metaphor. Think about water. It can be a tiny trickle or a massive tidal wave. It has no single shape. It takes the shape of whatever contains it. Musashi says your mind and your strategy need to be just like that, totally fluid and ready to adapt to whatever challenge you're facing. Now we get to the Fire Book. This is where things get intense, because it's all about the heat of battle. And the number 1 rule here is to seize the initiative. Don't wait around and react to what your opponent does. No, you make them react to you. You control the timing, you set the rhythm, and you own the fight. The Wind Book is super interesting. It's all about knowing the competition, or, in his case, the other sword-fighting schools. Musashi looked around and saw everyone else getting stuck in rigid stances and obsessed with secret moves. His approach was the total opposite. He said, forget all that. Use natural movement, rely on open principles that anyone can learn, and build a wide range of skills. He was teaching a philosophy, not just a style. So we've talked about the warrior and his philosophy, but let's bring it back to us. How does any of this apply to our lives today? Well, this is where Musashi's genius is so clear, because these ideas are totally universal. Seriously, think about it. Seizing initiative in a duel, that's exactly what a business leader does when they adapt to a changing market. Maintaining a calm, water-like mind under pressure, that's what every great athlete needs to win. And transcending technique through endless practice, That's the dream of every musician, artist, or programmer. The principles work because they're about the human drive for excellence itself.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. Musashi didn't write this book to be put in a museum. He wrote it to be used. It's a practical guide, a map for anyone, including you, on your own journey to mastery.
So if you only remember 3 things, let it be these. First, master the big picture principles. Don't just memorize a bunch of little tricks. Second, there are no shortcuts. You have to put in the work, constantly and with focus. And third, be like water. Being rigid is a recipe for failure. Being adaptable is the key to success. And that really leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Musashi's path was the way of the sword. For you, it might be the way of business, or coding, or painting, or even parenting. It doesn't matter what it is, his principles can help guide you. So what is the way that you are trying to master? If you enjoyed this deep dive into a timeless classic, you'll find more explorations of powerful books on our YouTube channel, The Book Digest. Make sure to subscribe to continue the journey with us.